Have you ever noticed something strange? The people who spend the most time proving themselves to everyone else often make the least progress toward their own dreams. They're always explaining, always defending, always comparing, always looking over their shoulder. Meanwhile, the people who quietly transform their lives are rarely the loudest in the room. They don't argue. They don't compete for attention. They don't waste energy trying to convince anyone that they're capable. They simply work. This is one of the deepest lessons hidden inside Stoic philosophy. The Stoics understood something that modern society often forgets. Your greatest battle isn't against other people. It's against a version of yourself that keeps getting distracted. Most people believe success comes from finding the perfect opportunity. The Stoics would disagree. They believe success begins the moment you stop allowing outside noise to control your inner world. Think about how much energy disappears every single day, not because of hard work, but because of unnecessary thoughts. You wonder what someone meant by their message. You replay conversations that happened days ago. You compare your progress to people you barely know. You imagine criticism that hasn't even happened. Little by little, your attention leaks away. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself that people would criticize him no matter what he did. Some would misunderstand him. Some would envy him. Some would hate him without reason. His solution wasn't to change their opinions. His solution was simple. Return to the work. Again, and again, and again. Imagine carrying a bucket filled with water across a field. Every time you stop to argue with someone, a little water spills. Every time you compare yourself, more water spills. Every time you seek validation, even more disappears. By the time you reach your destination, you've lost almost everything you were carrying. That bucket is your focus. Most people don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because they allow hundreds of tiny distractions to drain their strength before they ever reach their goal. The world constantly invites you to react. React to bad news. React to social media. React to criticism. React to gossip. React to people who don't even matter. But reaction is expensive. Every emotional reaction costs attention. Attention is your most valuable resource. And whatever owns your attention eventually owns your life. This is why the Stoics trained themselves to pause before reacting, not because they lacked emotions, but because they understood that every unnecessary emotional storm steals time they can never recover. Imagine two people planting trees. The first spends every day checking whether the neighbors approve of his garden. The second simply waters the roots. Months later, only one garden is growing. Your life works the same way. The roots are invisible. Nobody applauds discipline. Nobody celebrates consistency while it's happening. Nobody notices the mornings you wake up early, the evenings you study, the weekends you sacrifice, the habits you build. But roots create forests. And forests don't ask for permission before they grow. One of the greatest traps in life is believing that people owe you recognition before you finish the work. The Stoics rejected this completely. They believed virtue was its own reward. Do what is right. Do what matters. Even if nobody notices. Especially if nobody notices. Because when your motivation depends on applause, your discipline disappears the moment the applause stops. Look at nature. The sun rises every morning. It doesn't wait for compliments. The river keeps flowing. It doesn't ask whether people appreciate it. The oak tree grows slowly. It doesn't compare itself to flowers. Nature simply fulfills its purpose. The Stoics believe human beings should do the same. Focus on becoming excellent, not impressive. Those are very different goals. Impressive people chase appearances. Excellent people chase mastery. Appearances fade. Mastery remains. Think about a sculptor carving marble. From the outside, it looks repetitive. Thousands of identical strikes. Nothing exciting. But every strike changes a stone. Progress often feels invisible while it's happening. That's why impatient people quit. They mistake invisible progress for no progress. But transformation almost always happens quietly. Before bamboo rises high into the sky, it spends years developing roots underground. Someone looking only at the surface would think nothing is happening. Then suddenly it grows rapidly. People call it overnight success. It wasn't overnight. It was years of invisible preparation. Your life follows the same principle. The work you do today may not reward you tomorrow or next month, but every disciplined decision strengthens the person you'll become. This is why focusing on yourself requires patience, not passive waiting, active preparation. The modern world celebrates speed. The Stoics celebrated endurance. Anyone can stay motivated for 3 days. Very few remain committed for 3 years. Winning belongs to the second group. Another obstacle stands in the way of nearly everyone: comparison. Comparison creates imaginary races. You begin measuring your chapter 2 against someone else's chapter 20. You see someone's success, but you never see their failures. You see the reward, never the sacrifice. The Stoics warred against this because comparison shifts your attention outward. The moment you begin living someone else's timeline, you abandon your own. Your only real competition is yesterday's version of yourself. Did you improve? Did you become wiser? Did you become calmer? Did you become stronger? Those are the only questions worth asking. Imagine climbing a mountain. If you spend every minute looking sideways at other climbers, eventually you'll lose your footing. The safest way to climb is to keep your eyes on your own path. Life works exactly the same way. There will always be someone richer, someone smarter, someone younger, someone faster, someone more experienced, someone luckier. If your happiness depends on surpassing everyone else, you'll never find peace, because there is no finish line to comparison, but there is a finish line to self-improvement. Every day offers another chance to become slightly better than yesterday. That is enough. 1% better each day may seem insignificant, yet over years, it creates extraordinary results. The Stoics understood that greatness isn't built through dramatic moments. It's built through ordinary days repeated with extraordinary consistency. So instead of asking, when will people notice me? Ask, how can I improve today? Instead of wondering, what do they think about me? Ask, what kind of person am I becoming? Because eventually something remarkable happens. The opinions that once distracted you become irrelevant. The noise grows quieter. Your confidence stops depending on approval. You become anchored from within. And when that happens, you've already started winning, even if the world hasn't noticed yet. Because the strongest victories are always invisible before they become undeniable. There comes a moment in every person's life when they must make a difficult decision. Will you continue chasing attention, or will you start chasing excellence? Most people never realize these two paths lead in completely different directions. Attention gives you temporary satisfaction. Excellence gives you lasting freedom. The Stoics understood that the greatest achievements are rarely built in crowded places. They are built in quiet mornings, lonely evenings, and countless moments when no one is watching. This is why so many people fear solitude. Not because being alone is painful, but because silence forces them to meet the one person they've been avoiding, themselves. When the distractions disappear, when the notifications stop, when there is no audience to impress. Who are you? Can you sit with your own thoughts without reaching for another distraction? Can you work without needing someone to notice? Can you stay committed when nobody is encouraging you? These are the questions that determine your future. The Stoics didn't escape solitude. They welcomed it, because they knew something remarkable happens when the world grows quiet. You begin hearing your own mind, and for many people, that's uncomfortable. You discover habits you've been ignoring, excuses you've been repeating, dreams you've been postponing, fears you've been hiding beneath constant entertainment. But this discomfort isn't your enemy. It's your invitation to grow. Imagine standing beside a lake after a storm. As long as the water keeps moving, you can't see the bottom. Only when everything becomes still does the truth become visible. Your mind works the same way. Constant activity creates constant confusion. Stillness creates clarity. The world tells you to stay busy. The Stoics would tell you to stay intentional. There is a difference. Being busy isn't the same as being productive. Many people fill every hour of the day with activity. Yet at the end of the week, they've moved nowhere. They answered messages. They attended meetings. They scrolled endlessly. They worried. They reacted. But they didn't move one step closer to the life they actually wanted. Motion isn't always progress. A rocking chair moves all day. It never changes its location. Your life can become the same if you're not careful. The Stoics believed every action should serve a purpose. Every hour should move you toward becoming a wiser, stronger, calmer human being. Not because life should be rigid, but because life is short. Every sunrise is a withdrawal from your account of time. No one knows how many withdrawals remain. So why spend them trying to impress people who won't remember your name in a few years? Why sacrifice your peace to win arguments that change nothing? Why exhaust yourself carrying the opinions of strangers? None of these things make you stronger. They only make you tired. And exhaustion is one of the greatest enemies of purpose. Think about a blacksmith forging a sword. Each strike has intention. Each moment of heat has purpose. Nothing is random. If he struck the metal without direction, the sword would never take shape. Your habits are the hammer. Your mind is the steel. Every decision shapes who you become, whether you notice it or not. Many people wait until they feel motivated before they begin. The Stoics never trusted motivation, because motivation changes with the weather. Some mornings it arrives. Some mornings it disappears completely. Discipline is different. Discipline shows up regardless of emotion. It says, I may not feel like doing this today, but my feelings don't decide my future. That is real strength. Anyone can work when inspiration is overflowing. Few can continue when everything feels ordinary. But ordinary days create extraordinary lives. Consider the farmer. He doesn't plant seeds only when he's excited. He plants because he understands the seasons. He knows today's effort becomes tomorrow's harvest. Your goals work exactly the same way. Every page you read, every workout you complete, every skill you practice, every temptation you resist, every promise you keep to yourself, these are seeds. At first, nothing seems to happen. The ground looks unchanged. But beneath the surface, life is forming. Too many people quit because they confuse invisible growth with failure. They don't realize the roots are developing long before the fruit appears. The Stoics urged patience because they understood that nature never rushes. A river doesn't force itself to reach the ocean. It simply keeps flowing. A mountain doesn't become tall overnight. It rises through ages of quiet endurance. You don't become exceptional in a weekend. You become exceptional through thousands of ordinary decisions repeated faithfully. One decision at a time. One day at a time. One habit at a time. Another lesson the Stoics practiced was guarding the mind against unnecessary negativity. Notice how easily a single insult can occupy your thoughts for hours. One careless comment, one criticism, one rejection. Suddenly your mind begins replaying it over and over. But ask yourself this: who benefits from this endless replay? Certainly not you. The person who criticized you may have forgotten the conversation before the day ended, yet you're still carrying it. It's like allowing someone to leave a bag of garbage inside your home simply because they knocked on your door. The Stoics taught that you always have a choice, not over what happens, but over what you're willing to carry. Some burdens aren't yours. Some opinions aren't yours. Some expectations aren't yours. Leave them where they belong. Your energy is too valuable to spend decorating someone else's judgment. Instead, invest it where it produces results. Improve your skills. Strengthen your character. Take care of your health. Expand your knowledge. Build meaningful relationships. These investments never lose value. Everything else is temporary. Another trap that quietly steals potential is a desire for immediate results. We live in a culture that expects everything instantly. Instant messages, instant entertainment, instant success. But meaningful transformation refuses to follow that schedule. Imagine trying to pull a seed out of the ground every morning to check whether it's growing. You would destroy it. Growth requires trust. Trust requires patience. The Stoics understood that your responsibility is the effort. The outcome arrives in its own time. This mindset removes unnecessary anxiety. Instead of obsessing over results, you become obsessed with the process. Instead of asking, when will I succeed? You ask, what can I improve today? This small shift changes everything, because the process is always under your control. The outcome never fully is. When you learn to love the process, nobody can take your motivation away. Failure becomes feedback. Delay becomes preparation. Difficulty becomes training. Even obstacles begin working in your favor. Marcus Aurelius once reflected that the obstacle standing in your path can become the very path forward. Every challenge contains an opportunity to strengthen something within you. Patience, wisdom, courage, discipline, resilience. Without resistance, these qualities remain undeveloped, just as muscles grow through resistance. Character grows through hardship. So stop asking why life feels difficult. Instead ask, what is this difficulty trying to teach me? That single question transforms frustration into growth. Eventually, something extraordinary begins to happen. You stop reacting to every distraction. You stop chasing every opportunity. You stop needing everyone's approval. Your standards become internal. Your confidence becomes quiet. Your focus becomes unshakable. People may even misunderstand your silence. They may think you become distant. They may wonder why you no longer argue, explain yourself, or seek attention. But they cannot see what is happening beneath the surface. They only see the calm. They don't see the discipline creating it. They don't see the habits shaping it. They don't see the battles you're winning inside your own mind. And that's perfectly fine, because not every victory needs an audience. The strongest oak in the forest didn't become powerful because people admired it. It became powerful because, year after year, it continued to stand through storms. You are doing the same. Every day you choose focus over distraction, growth over comfort, purpose over popularity. You are becoming someone capable of handling opportunities that once would have overwhelmed you. This is what it truly means to focus on yourself until you win. Not to isolate yourself from the world. Not to become cold or selfish, but to become so deeply rooted in your purpose that outside noise can no longer pull you away from it. And when that happens, winning is no longer just a destination. It becomes the person you've transformed into along the way. There is a quiet truth that most people never discover. The life you've been searching for doesn't begin when the world finally notices you. It begins the moment you stop needing the world to notice you at all. That is the final lesson of Stoicism. Freedom is not found in controlling circumstances. It is found in controlling yourself. Think back to every season of your life when you felt stuck. How much of that suffering came from reality? And how much came from resisting reality? Perhaps someone underestimated you. Perhaps you were overlooked for an opportunity. Perhaps your efforts went unnoticed. Perhaps people doubted your ability. These things happen to everyone. The difference is not what happens. The difference is what happens next. Most people allow disappointment to become their identity. The Stoics refused to do that. They understood that events themselves are neutral. It is our judgment of those events that creates suffering. A closed door can become proof that life is unfair, or it can become the reason you build a better path. The event stays the same. The meaning changes, and meaning changes everything. Imagine an archer preparing to release an arrow. The Stoics often use this image to explain how we should approach life. The archer has control over the preparation. He can strengthen his body, practice his aim, choose the right moment, steady his breathing, focus completely. But once the arrow leaves the bow, many things are no longer under his control. The wind may change. The target may move. Unexpected obstacles may appear. Should he become angry? Should he blame himself for the wind? Of course not. His responsibility ended the moment he gave his best effort. Life works exactly the same way. You cannot control how quickly opportunities arrive. You cannot control other people's opinions. You cannot control the economy, luck, timing, or circumstances beyond your reach. But you can control your preparation. You can become so skilled, so disciplined, and so resilient that when opportunity finally appears, you are ready. Many people pray for success while avoiding preparation. The Stoics would tell you prepare so thoroughly that success becomes difficult to avoid. Preparation creates confidence, not empty affirmations, not pretending everything is perfect. Real confidence is earned. It comes from knowing you've kept your promises to yourself. Every morning you got up when you wanted to quit. Every time you chose learning over laziness. Every temptation you resisted. Every difficult conversation you handle with wisdom instead of anger. These moments become evidence. And evidence builds confidence far better than compliments ever will. This is why focusing on yourself is not selfish. It is responsible. Because the stronger your character becomes, the more value you can offer others. A weak tree cannot provide shelter. A dry well cannot provide water. Likewise, a person who constantly neglects their own growth has little strength left to help anyone else. Improve yourself first, not so you can look down on others, but so you can lift others without collapsing. There's another lesson many people avoid because it is uncomfortable. Sometimes, your greatest obstacle is not your enemies. It is your old identity, the version of you that still seeks approval, still fears rejection, still hesitates before taking action, still believes comfort is safer than growth. That version cannot travel where your future is waiting. At some point, you must leave it behind. Just as a snake sheds its old skin to continue growing, you must release old habits, old excuses, and old fears. Growth always requires letting go. You cannot become someone new while clinging to everything familiar. This is why change feels uncomfortable. Your mind naturally prefers certainty, even if that certainty keeps you small. But the Stoics believed courage was not the absence of fear. It was choosing wisdom despite fear. Imagine standing at the edge of a forest. Behind you is a path you've walked hundreds of times. It feels safe, predictable, comfortable. Ahead is a trail you've never explored. It is uncertain, quiet, demanding. Most people turn back, not because the old path leads somewhere better, but because it is familiar. Yet everything worthwhile lies beyond the place where comfort ends. The person you want to become is waiting on the other side of discomfort, not beyond perfection, beyond persistence. There will be mornings when motivation disappears. Work anyway. There will be days when progress feels invisible. Continue anyway. There will be seasons when nobody believes in your vision. Protect it anyway. There will be moments when failure whispers that you should quit. Take one more step anyway. Because every remarkable achievement in history was once invisible. Every great builder started with empty ground. Every great writer began with a blank page. Every athlete was once unknown. Every master was once a beginner. The difference wasn't talent alone. It was endurance, the willingness to continue long after excitement faded. The Stoics admired endurance because they knew life tests everyone, not to destroy them, but to reveal them. Pressure reveals character. Difficulty reveals priorities. Adversity reveals discipline. When everything is easy, anyone can appear confident. When everything becomes difficult, only character remains. This is why you should stop asking for an easier life. Ask to become a stronger person, because strength stays with you. Easy circumstances do not. As you continue focusing on yourself, something subtle begins to change. The opinions that once wounded you lose their power. The distractions that once controlled your attention become easier to ignore. The validation you once chased begins to feel unnecessary. You no longer measure your worth by applause. You measure it by integrity. Did I act according to my values? Did I honor my commitments? Did I remain calm under pressure? Did I become a little wiser today? These become your victories, and they are victories no one can take from you. Eventually, people will notice the changes, not because you announce them, but because transformation has a quiet kind of authority. Your words become calmer. Your decisions become clearer. Your confidence becomes steadier. Your presence becomes stronger. People may ask what changed. Some will assume you became lucky. Others will think success came easily. They will see the results. But they will never fully understand the countless mornings you chose discipline over excuses. The evenings you kept learning while others were distracted. The sacrifices no one applauded. The habits no one celebrated. The tears no one witnessed. That is the hidden price of every meaningful victory. And it is worth paying. Because the reward is far greater than money, status, or recognition. The reward is becoming someone who is no longer controlled by fear. Someone who no longer needs permission to pursue greatness. Someone who can remain calm when life becomes chaotic. Someone who understands that true wealth is peace of mind. This is the kind of victory the Stoics pursued. Not a victory over other people. A victory over themselves. That is the only victory that lasts. So if you feel discouraged today, if your progress feels slow, if your efforts seem invisible, remember this. The tallest mountains are formed one layer at a time. The strongest rivers carve stone through patience, not force. The brightest stars shine because they endure the darkness. Your life is no different. Every disciplined choice matters. Every promise you keep to yourself matters. Every hour spent improving your mind matters. No effort is wasted when it shapes your character. So stop waiting for perfect conditions. Stop delaying your growth until someone believes in you. Stop looking outside yourself for the permission that has always existed within you. Choose discipline over distraction, purpose over popularity, consistency over convenience, silence over unnecessary explanation, progress over perfection, and above all, focus on yourself until you become so strong, so wise, and so disciplined that success is no longer something you chase. It becomes something you naturally attract. Because in the end, the greatest victory is not proving everyone else wrong. It is proving to yourself that you were capable all along. Thank you for watching. If this message spoke to you, remember that real change doesn't happen from simply hearing wise words. It happens by living them every single day. Take one lesson from this video and apply it today, no matter how small the step may seem. And if you're committed to building a calmer mind, stronger discipline, and an unshakable character through Stoic philosophy, subscribe to the channel and join us on this journey. Until next time, protect your peace, master your mind, and keep moving forward one disciplined step at a time.